My mother-in-law, Teresa, 68 years old and the self-appointed matriarch of the family, was the toxic epicenter of my 12-year marriage to her son, Evan. Teresa, who had the perfectly coiffed hair and the aggressive charity schedule of a suburban saint, openly considered me, Clara, a 40-year-old data security analyst, a fatal flaw in her son's clean image. She would constantly whisper to him, "Clara is too cold, too cerebral, too modern. Evan deserves a woman with warmth and simple, pure devotion. Someone more like his mother." This, from a woman who demanded 3 calls a day, micromanaged Evan's career, and ensured every major family decision revolved around her moral code. For years, I had held my silence, believing that protecting my marriage meant surviving her. But when her manipulations finally convinced Evan to file for divorce, a process she cheerfully organized for him, I snapped. Not with tears, but with the cold, protective logic of a cybersecurity expert facing a profound threat. Teresa's hypocrisy became my primary target. "Evan needs freedom from your aggressive ambition, Clara," she crowed to me on my bitter divorce filing date. "You are simply a sinful failure of a wife." I decided then that I would not simply leave the marriage, I would eliminate the toxic source. The mechanism of her hypocrisy came to me through a fluke. While consolidating our digitized files for divorce proceedings by searching the cloud for shared documents, I stumbled upon a hidden, encrypted server access log that should never have been on the public family drive, a subtle trace of Teresa's complex double life. Days of meticulous forensic analysis through my professional secure line confirmed the truth. My suburban saint mother-in-law had been conducting a secret, extensive, and passionately documented affair with a retired state senator, a man named Mr. Richard P., for over 15 years. The digital trail included bank transfers for a secluded cabin rental, dozens of long-lost photos, and heartfelt email exchanges dating back to 2008. The raw emotional core of my vengeance was this: Teresa forced my divorce under the false banner of her moral superiority, all while maintaining a massive, self-serving deception against my father-in-law, Dr. Arthur, a kind, traditional man who had supported her saintly lifestyle for nearly 50 years. Dr. Arthur was the stability of the family, and her destruction would utterly shatter the entire family's foundation. I decided my divorce gift would be the complete implosion of the matriarchy. My plan was precise, surgical, and designed for maximum emotional payload, the poisoned artifact. I bought a beautiful, silver-engraved photo album, precisely the kind that Teresa had always coveted, traditionally made to house decades of pure, sacred family history. Inside the thick, padded cover, I used a clean, new USB drive, my delivery payload. On the main page, designed for the formal title, I wrote one final inscription for Evan, my soon-to-be ex-husband. "Evan, I left you the reason your life is the way it is. Start looking for Mom's favorite pictures." C. The contents of the USB drive were ruthlessly organized under 3 folders. The financials, bank transfers to resorts/flights for solo charity retreats over the last decade. The visuals, photos clearly showing Teresa and Mr. P., dated across the full 15 years. The proof, a scanned, sealed letter acknowledging the affair from Mr. P.'s own nervous attorney, confirming their secrecy. This was not a rumor. It was unimpeachable fact. On the day I was scheduled to vacate the house, I performed one final, clean sweep. I left the house as I had lived it, meticulous, clean, and silent. I drove to my new apartment, leaving the elegant yet deadly photo album on Evan's side of the bed. There were no tears, no final words, no arguments, just the silence of my final separation from both him and his toxic mother. The quiet lasted only 12 hours. I knew when the bomb dropped. The first signal, a frantic all-caps text from Evan, not to me, but to our neutral family group chat. "Does anyone know where my mother's phone is? Please call me. Emergency." He needed to reach Teresa to preempt my ambush. The second signal, Teresa's angry text to me, which she was legally obligated to stop, screaming, "You vengeful witch. You have ruined Evan. And Arthur. You are the villain of this family." Stop this. I muted all notifications. I had supplied the facts. I would not be present for the conspiracy of lying that would inevitably follow. I owed her no final confrontation. My victory was silence. The true consequences were revealed by my old sister-in-law, Clara's kind sister, who was terrified of the family's implosion. Clara was initially hesitant, but I assured her that any information passed would be purely for her own sanity. The revelation took place, predictably, at the large, formal family dining room table. Dr. Arthur, the stoic father-in-law, a man worshipped by his colleagues for his honesty and integrity, had discovered the personalized album, assuming his departure from his difficult wife meant some reconciliation. He opened the album, discovered the single, plain USB key, and, in front of both a hysterical Evan and a rapidly disintegrating Teresa, loaded the contents onto his professional desktop computer. The room shattered, Clara, my sister-in-law recounted during our 2-hour hushed phone call. The visuals folder opened first. Proof. Not even plausible deniability. Teresa was a sobbing, screaming wreck, admitting it all, the years of the senator, the lying, the money she funneled into his expenses under the guise of an annual charity gala in Aspen. Evan, my estranged husband, didn't rage at the news, he imploded. His entire life, the high moral standard he'd learned, the reverence for his mother, collapsed. The real agony for all three of them was that my divorce, the one she had engineered, was clean and rational, but her criminal activity had been the constant, corrupting force beneath the surface. Dr. Arthur's reaction was silent, devastating, and final. He didn't scream, he wept, sitting in his chair, folding his trembling hands on the mahogany table Teresa made him inherit. He calmly called his own attorney to immediately file for a no-fault divorce based on the proof of a 15-year systematic campaign of fraud and emotional distress. The moral authority of the matriarch was nullified at precisely 1 p.m. on a private Tuesday afternoon. The matriarchy was dead. My divorce from Evan was finalized within weeks, uncontested. He made no demands for assets, only offering a profound, broken apology that I quietly accepted but did not forgive. The financial and social fallout for Teresa became the final, echoing payment. She lost the home I worked so hard to maintain, the husband she had systematically betrayed, and the social standing she had so ruthlessly weaponized. She was forced to sell the family's antique china and charity event contacts to finance her meager settlement. Years later, I received a final, strange call from Evan, an oddly mature one. "You never told me about her secret," he said quietly. "You just gave me the facts and walked away." "Why?" I had paused then, looking out the large window of my new, peaceful apartment. "I didn't owe you the anger, Evan. I owed you the truth. She was destroying me behind a shield of false superiority. She wasn't just my aggressor, she was yours, too. I had to kill the matriarch to save myself." My son never looked at her again. Clara, took nothing but the quiet truth of her decades of lies and the peaceful realization that I was utterly, irrevocably free of the toxic system she had built. My silence and a humble USB drive proved to be the most powerful assets I'd ever controlled.